guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about how to get a flawless foundation with oily skin and kind of a skincare routine for oily skin. It is no mystery that I have gigantic pores and very texturized skin and very oily skin, so I kind of wanted to show you guys. I've been perfecting along the way my foundation routine, especially in the past couple weeks. I have noticed a huge difference in the different steps that I've been taking. Before we get started though, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, and without any further ado, let's dive right in. Step 1 to a flawless foundation routine goes way before your makeup, and that is with skincare. Skincare is so important. I've been getting really involved with my skincare routine and kind of mixing it up, changing up things, trying new things, and finding products that I really love. So number 1 would be obviously starting your makeup out with a clean face of makeup. And I don't just mean washing your face the night before, washing off all the makeup, doing your skincare routine, and going to bed, waking up, and doing your makeup. I mean waking up and washing your face. Washing your face twice a day is a big benefit to your skincare routine and your makeup routine. When you go to sleep, especially when you have oily skin like me, you normally wake up with your skin oily, and even if you don't, that's okay, but you need to wash away all of the oils that produced on your skin for the past 8 hours that you were sleeping, and all of the dead skin cells that come up on your skin while you're sleeping as well. It is extremely important to get rid of those things on your face. So using a cleanser that works well for oily skin is step 1. I have a few favorite cleansers that I've tried, a few high-end and a few drugstore, but my favorite right now, the Biore charcoal cleanser. This is good when you have huge pores, it's good for oily skin, and it has acne treatment in it. So normally when you have oily skin, you more than likely have acne prone skin. So this is great because it hits all 3 spots that I have problems with on my skin, and it feels really good on my skin. It makes it feel very clean. It doesn't seem to strip all the oils that my skin is dying for moisture afterwards. It's a good kind of medium in between the two. Next, it's also really important to exfoliate your skin. So I've been also really liking the Biore. I have tried the charcoal scrub and their baking soda scrub. I've tried them both. They're both very different, so it just kind of depends on which one you'd like better. The next thing that I think is totally overlooked for skincare with oily skin is using a serum. I really like using this Fleur de Sang serum. This is their anti-imperfections serum and their Power Anti-Blemish serum. So this feels really good. It comes out kind of heavy looking, but it goes on kind of like air. You don't really feel it on your skin, and I do notice a difference in my breakouts since using it. I believe I started using it 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I have seen a huge difference while using this. The last thing you want to do is make sure you're using a moisturizer that's good for oily skin. I have used the Cetaphil Oily Skin Moisturizer, and I've also been using this To Tomatoes Clear Skin Balancing Moisturizer. I prefer this way more over this Cetaphil one. The Cetaphil one just sort of feels a little too thick for my skin, and I don't notice a difference while using it and not using it before makeup, whereas this one I have seen a difference in my oil production, and I love the way this goes on. It feels like it's going to be thick again like the serum that I said, but once it goes on, it feels like it just seeps right into the skin and creates a beautiful illuminated look to my skin. So once my skincare routine has been taken care of, I like to prep my skin with my Urban Decay B6 Complexion Spray. It's supposed to help redness go down and also to help shrink your pores a little bit. I do notice a difference. At first I was like, I don't know about this stuff, like I thought it was just a scam, but when I kind of stopped using it for a little while, I did notice a difference in my pores when my makeup was all finished. So that's definitely step 1. So I just spray that all over my face, let it dry for a second, and once I feel like it's been soaked into the skin, I then go in with a primer. It is really important with oily skin to go in with a poreless primer or a pore filling primer. I have 2 favorites that I've been using, but for this tutorial I'm going to be using my Tarte Clean Slate Poreless Primer. This one, I just really like the formula of it a little bit more than the Benefit Poreless Professional Primer or the Porefessional Primer. So what I do is just take my fingertips and I pat it into the pores to pack them in and sort of fill them up so that there is a smooth surface on top. It's basically like filling a pothole in a road. You just kind of have to fill those little pieces with the primer. And I think it's really important to just pat the primer into the skin versus rubbing it in, because rubbing it creates a little bit of a microdermabrasion, and if you're like me and you have oily skin that's very texturized, you don't want to have any more exfoliation on your face than you've already done. So the next step that I go into is taking a loose setting powder. I've been using the Arbonne Setting Pretty powder. I really like this powder because it has a matte finish with the tiniest bit of pearlized powder in it. So it looks very matte on the skin, but it has just enough of that pearlized finish to make your skin have a healthy looking glow. Sometimes I feel like when my skin is overly matte, it looks way too dry and gets very cakey looking. So I like to take this powder and take a brush, and I take a very minimal amount and just very lightly, with the lightest hand ever, swipe it over those places where my skin tends to get oily. This creates a barrier for my skin and also again helps to cover up those pores. You want to be sure that you're using a loose powder, because I did notice while using a pressed powder, I don't know what the difference was, but it just did not work the way that it should have with a pressed powder versus the setting powder. So I put that all over my face. I know it sounds crazy to put powder before foundation, but believe me, this works wonders on my oily skin. Then this is the next step I do. This is completely up to you, but for me, I have acne prone skin, and the foundation I've been using as my everyday foundation is not quite full coverage enough for me, but it works. When I take my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, when I place it on the imperfections of my skin, I just seem to like the way that it looks like that. It gives me a little bit extra coverage. I take my Real Techniques blending sponge and I just sort of blend that into the skin. My next step is to be taking my foundation, and I like to apply it a very specific way. I think for oily skin, it really has to be done a certain way, and the damp beauty blender is the way to go. I am taking my Cailyn Cosmetics Oh Wow brush. This is the first time that I'm using it, but I love how soft this is, and because of how dense it is, it gives me a fuller coverage than just applying it with a beauty blender. So I'm going to be taking that brush today and applying it only around the perimeters of my face. My biggest problem when doing my foundation was that I always wanted to go and immediately cover those spots on my face that were all of my imperfections. So I always wanted to go and right for the pores, but I noticed that when I did that, my makeup looked way cakier doing it that way than doing it this way. So now I apply my foundation all the way around the borders of my face, and once I feel like all of that is covered and blended into the neck and flawless, then I will take what's left on whatever makeup applicator you choose. Today I was doing the Beauty Blender, and I just blend that right in, and I press it into the pores as well to again fill them up and make them look more smooth. I think a damp beauty blender is honestly your best friend when you have oily skin. Next, what I do is I take my Fit Me Concealer and go under my eyes and maybe kind of brighten up my forehead and my Cupid's bow, and then I take again a damp beauty blender and I blend out that concealer. Next, what I do is I take that same setting powder that I talked about in the beginning, but I use my damp beauty blender to apply it. I don't know why this makes it so much smoother than using a brush and less cakey, but it does. So I take my beauty blender, and instead of baking it like the way most people do, I think when you have oily skin or textured skin, it's much better to press it in and blend it out like that. When I let it bake, it just gets way too cakey looking, and I've noticed lately my skin looks so much better when I apply it this way. So I blend out that powder and I push it into the pores again. Make sure it's really, really blended, and once that's all blended, I am taking a setting spray. This is like your best friend when you have oily skin, is taking an oil fix setting spray. So I'm using the Makeup Revolution oil fix setting spray, and I have really liked it. I don't notice a difference between the Urban Decay All Nighter and that, so I spray that all over my face, let it dry a bit, and that's sort of how I get a flawless foundation. You can't see the pores as much as you can before, and the skin looks really flawless. I love the finish of it. I think it's the perfect everyday use. And then of course, once I'm finished with that, I move on and I do whatever sort of bronzer, blush, highlighter I want to do, and my eye makeup, and I've been so satisfied with it. That is it, guys, for this video. I hope this was super helpful for you. I know that oily skin can be a huge pain in the butt, but once you get your routine that works best for you, you will be so happy and your life will be just like that much easier. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time.